Alright, we've got 2 small packages. It's a simple update this week. And one of these we don't look at in too detail because it's I think a DVD version of Hentai that I ordered relatively recently. I don't know. Let's just get in here and find out. The first one should be the non-Hentai. Yeah. Campfire Cooking in Another World. And then this would be the Hentai, which is a pretty spicy cover. Let's see, taking a look at the back. I guess the back is relatively okay to show. You know, we're not going to dive too much into it. Teachers, Carnal courses. It sounds familiar, but I don't know if it's because that thing's been sitting around waiting to be ordered for a long time or what. All I know is we have Campfire Cooking in Another World with my absurd skill. It's the same under the slipcover, which is okay. It's actually a kind of a nice fun opening. It was a nice fun anime. And I'm trying to remember, I do remember generally enjoying it, and that it did have a story to it. I'm trying to also remember, because I remember Sue being, was that the name of the slime? I'm worried because that was the name of the slime from Monster Musume. But the slime was actually really adorable in this one. Regions A and B. Let's see. Video, audio. English and Japanese. So it has an English dub and Japanese with English subtitles. Ooh, there we go. There. It's a pretty light update this week, but you know, unfortunately, you know, it's only so much stuff. Anyways, here's this week's physical anime collection update. All right, going down the list with my Friday friend, I watched the episode 56 of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Which episode was that? That episode. Entertaining stuff. Yeah, it's some good fun. I'm forgetting the name of the word, but you know, some good clashing, some good conflict. That's the word I was looking for. Some good conflict. Which is funny because slime in general tends to be a little lighter on the conflict side, usually because a lot of the resolutions are just a little too good of an outcome, but it definitely has its moments, and while this isn't one of its biggest moments, it's, you know, entertaining enough. And I guess we ended up not watching the next episode of Jobless Reincarnation dubbed. That would be, I guess I don't want to say the name of the episode, but it looked like there was no English dub available, but now that I look again, I was able to finally see the English dub once I full screened it, because I guess it's just hiding the dub option off the top of the screen if it's not full screened. So, you know, maybe me and my Friday friend will watch 2 episodes next, or this coming Friday. I guess we'll have to find out. But, you know, we did watch Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, episodes 32 through 34. You know, it didn't resolve everything that started, but I think based on where 31 ended and 32 began, it felt like that was a good breathing place to do other stuff and catch up on other stuff. But we're resuming, and as for the contents of it, I guess it was entertaining enough. I do worry a little bit about it, you know, pretty much being less about the main character and maybe more about Satoru Gojo. But, you know, entertaining stuff, and it was still setting stuff up, so, you know, entertaining enough, and some interesting reveals. Let's see, Konosuba, Season 3, Episode 9. Oh, that was Episode 9. I thought it was Episode 8, but no, it was Episode 9, and if they're only doing 10 episodes, then the next episode is probably going to be the season finale, because they had 10 episodes for Season 1, Season 2. It doesn't necessarily guarantee it. I guess I should probably take a look. I've got sites that say how many episodes they're going to be, but I haven't. We should be getting to the close to the end of a lot of seasons for this new stuff, I think. But yeah, with Konosuba, I'd say Episode 9 was actually probably the funniest episode this season. I don't even know if I can go into detail because I wouldn't want to spoil it. It does some incredibly clever and unexpected stuff. Even though it's playing off of a story trope that I don't really care for, the show pulls it off in a very engagingly funny way. A couple of things about it that are actually sort of somber, nice, refreshing changes from the norm. But I don't know. Good episode. Great episode. Mysterious Disappearances, episode 9. If we are getting close to the season finale, it's really hard to say because the show just kind of sort of does stuff. But, okay, yeah, I guess that's some of the stuff it was setting up, and it's okay, kind of interesting. But I guess it does feel like the show does not punch very strongly on its mystery scale, as I've said every time I've reviewed stuff. Archdemon's Dilemma, episode 11. So I'd say, while this has been a nice, refreshing show that does a lot of stuff, this would probably be the closest to a somewhat predictable episode, I guess. It also feels like it probably was the resolution of this season story arc, and if there's an additional episode, I'm trying to think if there was, it may be a more non-story kind of episode, I suppose. Huh. Well, it'd be unfortunate. That's like one of the ones I'm looking forward to on Thursdays. Solid Bowl of Eccentrics, episode 10. I guess kind of okay. I felt like it was mostly just a bunch of people talking about stuff, I guess. Not necessarily bad. Some of it entertaining. But I guess it doesn't it doesn't necessarily feel like it plays too strongly on the premise of the show, I suppose. And, you know, the show's been nice, but kind of hit or miss in that regard, so how good it is depends on, I guess, what you're hoping for it. Delicious in Dungeon, episode 23. This was a neat episode. Trying to remember what it ended with, because it began with a very thoughtful and thought-provoking commentary, dialogue, something like that. I don't know. Really liked it, but I'm pretty sure that did more. Huh. Of course. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. It did that interesting and amusing shake-up. So, first half was great. Second half was good, I would say. But, you know, really depends on what they're going to do with it from there, I guess. Okay, so me watching That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. So the latest episode, episode 58. I have one problem with this episode. And I don't know how I would want to say it, but let's just say that I would have expected that hole to need to be patched sooner rather than later. But I guess I can see why the way things happened, maybe that didn't need to happen. But whatever. The point is, you know, while it feels a little delayed, I guess the stuff that happened was pretty nice. Yeah, so good enough stuff. The Misfit of Demon King Academy, Season 2, Episode 20. What happened in this episode? I thought it was an entertaining enough episode. Although at the same time, it felt a little weird because it's sort of like, I don't know, our characters doing interesting stuff, but almost at the expense of priest, I suppose. Like it sort of feels like if your main group of characters walked into a Starbucks, walked up to the counter to place an order, but somehow ended up getting behind the counter, being the ones to make the drinks themselves, and somehow doing it in a way that it feels like that would be really rude to the workers at Starbucks, and it felt like this was similarly rude to that guy, even though they kind of established certain things, but it's just sort of like it felt like the characters walked in and narratively walked all over that poor person, and it's, again, the stuff they did is interesting. It just also sort of feels a little wrong, I guess. The Regular at Magic High, episode 10. I think once again it gave us some interesting combat confrontation sort of stuff. I guess it had a lot of it. It doesn't feel exactly meaningless, but at the same time it does feel a little bit of a distraction. From what, I don't know, because I'm not quite sure where this show's trying to go in a way that I would say I definitely care about it. But yeah, it's okay, watchable, I guess. Let's see, we have Train to the End of the World, episode 10. I believe they're very setting up for the end of the series. Yeah, I definitely are. I just was blanking on whether or not I wanted to comment on it too much, but, you know, fun enough episode, I guess. God's Game We Play, episode 10. Actually, a very entertaining episode. And I guess a setup for a season core finale sort of thing. Kaiju number 8, episode 9. I guess fun enough stuff happening and a interesting turn at the end, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what it decides to do after that, because if there's one thing it knows to do, it knows to not, I guess, rest on the premise, not the premise, but it's rest on the setup of the first episode. This show does seem to know it needs to rely on the premise a bit, and so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what the next episode brings, because there's a lot of hope. Let me see, Newgate, episode 9. I have to admit that I either missed or I just didn't remember that one character I had seen was actually, I guess, a princess. It's definitely strangely executed, but it's okay stuff, I guess. I think, once again, the show's just sort of okay, just sort of doing stuff. Although, in this case, I felt like the conversations were just sort of convenient to what the show wanted to be doing, I guess. There was something in there that definitely made me feel like that. And I guess it was just, it didn't feel like the way two characters interacted would have been natural dialogue. Like the dialogue was going through certain motions and then saying, yeah, I need to do certain things. So, you know, I think it's kind of the show in general. It's sort of like that. Just this time the dialogue kind of stuck out to me in that way. It's okay, though. As a Reincarnated Aristocrat, episode 10. Okay stuff, I suppose. And I guess they're setting up for a potential Siren series core finale. I guess we'll have to see what happens. But I guess where they left off was interesting enough. Jobless Reincarnation, episode 21. This was a fun episode. I'd say there are elements of this I've been looking for quite a while. And wow, that was actually some really good dialogue from Paul. Yeah, it was a pretty fun episode, I would say. I'm not sure what else I would want to comment on, just because I don't want to spoil too much. Next up, Tsukimichi Season 2, Episode 23. You know, once again, a lot of the conflict in this season feels slower. In this case, it sort of did for a thing that we've also been looking forward to for a while. But there was also something about its sluggishness that was kind of pleasant. But that said, I can't help but feel like a lot of this stuff would have been more entertaining binge watched to get it all at once. And maybe the first season is kind of like that. I don't think so, though, because it definitely had moments that's like, okay, that one moment is really fucking awesome. That one moment is really fucking awesome. And this one is not feeling that really fucking awesome. It's mostly feeling pretty entertaining, I guess. But yeah, a fun episode. Good conflict. Seventh Prince, episode 11. Speaking of fun conflict, if anything, I wanted to see the ending of what's about to happen, because I think it's on the verge of the conflict of this clearly series / season core finale. But yeah, I guess I would just want to see the follow-up. The things that happened in the episode were entertaining enough. Remonster, episode 11. I'd say it's fun stuff. Just fun in the same way that Remonster is. So if you watch it up to this point, it's probably like, okay, yeah, this is pretty entertaining stuff. It almost feels like it was at risk of maybe reproducing some of the same stuff from the previous episode, but that was more of a previous episodes thing, and this one just kind of, did okay enough stuff, I guess. But yeah, that conflict was kind of fun and neat, and I guess there's a lot of things here where we're not getting to see the resolution of all this stuff that's happening. It's unfortunate. Spice and Wolf, episode 11. Not that I remember the details of what happened in here. I vaguely remembered something like this stuff happening. But yeah, I think it's a good setup for what I'm hoping is either the season finale in the next episode, or maybe a 13 was. I don't remember. I can't guarantee I know for certain what the pacing was, but I'll just wait to see what next week brings. And then last but not least, Chilling in Another World with level 2 super cheat powers, episode 10. I'd say it was a pretty fun, relatively chill episode that's just like, yeah, it's just more interesting. I don't know that it feels like it's directly addressing what could be the major resolution to the primary conflict. But it does seem to be hinting around stuff in general in that ballpark that feels like it could get there eventually, I guess. So, okay. It's an okay episode, I would say. Now let's see. Beyond that, I guess last week the Dungeons & Dragons chapter of Dead by Daylight would have come out, and I might not have had much of a chance to comment on it. I've played as Vecna a bit, and he's pretty fun, I think. I'm not sure if he's necessarily mind-blowingly fun, but I would say that, he's he just has fun options, and I don't know, I guess I spent time not worrying too much about stuff. Some Survivor matches where, I gave up one of my perk slots to always bring the Bardic Inspiration along so I could play music for killers, especially for killers that I feel are worthy stopping and doing that for. And that's been kind of funny. Guess I didn't do it for that one, but I was running Zarina with some specific builds to do some of the tome challenges. They weren't too hard, but that could be more about what my MMR is like than anything else. But actually, surprisingly, I have a different video game topic to bring up, because on Saturday I finally fired up Starbound for apparently the first time in 8 years. I think Steam said the last time I had played it was 2016. And I'm not disappointed in firing it back up. In other words, I guess part of it is, just stress at work, stress at life, and, obviously, I'm really into a lot of isekai fantasy stuff, which are classic escapism sorts of shows, and, honestly, I've been feeling that for a while, and that's why I'm taking next week off PTO. Hopefully I'll be watching interesting things doing that. But, I just kind of wanted to play, I guess a game sort of like Minecraft or Terraria or something like that maybe I could be okay with me playing it and not eventually, not having a dedicated server, because if I remember correctly, the single player stuff you do in Starbound allows you to play that in multiplayer with other people. So I'm kind of like, yeah, that sounds fine. It means that while I'm building up some planet stuff, I am also prioritizing making the ship a central area. And I think they realized that's something in the game. But playing wise, so the atmosphere is definitely really great and along the lines of what I was looking for playing, I guess. Just sort of zoning out, and I like how zoning out the music is. Not that Minecraft and Terraria have bad music. They actually have pretty great music too, but I kind of sort of feel like you don't listen to Terraria music to zone out. And some of that comes with the atmosphere, where Starbound sort of feels like, yeah, it's a spacey sort of trek. Even when you're down on a planet, you're like, the music can be very hanging, like, you're just somewhere out in space. Maybe on a planet out in space, but you're just sort of out there. Now, I got the impression that Starbound was maybe not considered by some to be a huge success, maybe. Like, I don't think it's considered a failure, but I don't know. I saw some YouTube videos. I would have been very curious to see what those YouTube videos had to say about it, but I ended up not watching. I think they were a bit long. And my own opinion playing it is, I kind of vaguely remember some of the stuff. It's like, oh yeah, they were introducing this. Oh yeah, they were introducing this. Because when I played it, they were still building the game. Maybe they never finished. I'm not sure. But I can say that some of the things I remember feeling like pain points don't feel as bad. And maybe that's because I'm still like doing early game stuff. I haven't gotten above tungsten, basically. So, still early game stuff. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit in terms of what I was saying. Basically, my thought was, there is a possibility, though, that one problem is still a big problem, and while it feels a little better right now, maybe as I continue, it'll just feel really bad. Specifically, I kind of remember it feeling like, because the game didn't start out with a combat system and, we need to make things, it felt like, no, it started out with a combat system. It just, they evolved it in order to, I guess, try to make it more engaging, but it also sort of felt like, I remember it feeling like it was too steep and too hard. And maybe they've toned that down and balanced it a little bit better, I think. At least it feels that way right now, but I'm going to have to keep playing to see if I still feel that way. And it also feels like I like the fact that the job system, not the job system, the quest system gives you a lot of little quests. I don't remember if it did that back when I last played. I suspect not. But I don't know, it feels like it just kind of throws enough stuff at you that it can feel easily overwhelming, I guess. But yeah, overall, again, I like the fact that I've played it, fired it up. Anyways, I guess I'm getting a little tired. It's time for me to wrap things up. Y'all, have a nice week.